Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Days Podcast along with a new video. So today I wanted to talk about Michael Jackson's Invincible album. It was, is an album that I was meaning to do for a while. I actually wanted to make sure I talked about his previous albums before I was able to talk about this album. There are his more previous albums that came out before Off the Wall that I could talk about, because if anything, I may make that into one big video, just kind of having a sequence between Got to Be There and all the way up until, including maybe even talking about The Wiz. So we'll get into that. So yes, let's talk about it. Michael Jackson's Invincible is the 10th and final studio album by the American singer Michael Jackson, released on October 30th, 2001. It was Jackson's last album before his death in 2009. It's similar to an Aaliyah effect, where it's just the self-titled as opposed to this album. It's like you kind of hear the fact that there's supposed to be more from this, and we got cut short. It features appearances from Carlos Santana, the Notorious B.I.G., and Slash. So he had Biggie not just on his previous History album, but now on this album. So he really liked Biggie. As far as to collaborate with. It incorporates R&B, pop, and soul, and similar, I can't even say that word, I'm sorry. Similar to his previous albums' material. Sorry y'all. Seriously, I wish I could really, I can't even say it. Like and subscribe and check out Patreon, because I'll be doing more. But yes, similar to his previous material, the album explores themes such as love, romance, isolation, media, criticism, and social issues. The album's creation was expensive and laborious, featuring the work of 10 record producers and over 100 musicians. Jackson started the multi-genre production in 1997 and did not finish until 8 weeks before the album's release. So he was working on this even in the midst of finishing his tour, even in the midst of going to release the album for History, as far as the In the Mix, Blood on the Dance Floor. It was reported that it cost $30 million to record as of March 2024. It remains the most expensive album ever made. Jackson refused to tour to support it, adding to the growing rifts between him and Sony Music Entertainment. In July 2002, following Sony's decision to abruptly end promotion for the album, Jackson alleged that the CEO was a devil and a racist who used his African-American artists only for personal gain. There's more in-depth things we can talk about on Patreon, which I will make sure in his own cohesive video. Invincible debuted at #1 on the album's chart in the US and in 10 other countries worldwide. It was certified double platinum in the US in January 2002 and has sold more than 8 million copies worldwide. The lead single, You Rock My World, reached #10 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and was nominated for Best Pop Vocal Performance at the 2002 Grammy Awards. Cry and Butterflies were also released as singles, and Speechless was released as a promotional single. Invincible received mixed reviews and became Jackson's most critically derided album. Retrospective reviews have been more positive, and it has been credited as featuring early samples of dubstep. In 2009, it was voted by online readers of Billboard as the best album of the 2000s decade. So, You Rock My World as a single was released August 22nd, 2001. August 22nd, 2001. And of course, 72 hours from that, we're losing. There was just so much going on. It's just wild. Yes. So, as far as with production, prior to the release of Invincible, Jackson had not released any new material since the remix album Blood on the Dance Floor, History in the Mix in 1997. His last studio album was History, which was in 1995. Invincible was therefore viewed as Jackson's career comeback. Because it's been about 6 years or so. When you take this long, people in the past expected and wanted a sense of where it's like, you're gonna come even harder than what you already did. We ready. And he began recording new material October 1997 and finished with You Are My Life, being recorded only 8 weeks before the album's release in October 2001. The most extensive recording of Jackson's career. The tracks with Rodney Jerkins was recorded at the Hit Factory in Miami, Florida. Jackson had shown interest in including a rapper on at least one song and had said that he did not want a known rapper. Jackson's spokesperson suggested a New Jersey rapper named Fats. After Jackson heard the finished product of the song, the two agreed to record another song together for the album. Yes, he worked with Tate Riley, Andre Harris, Babyface. The album was dedicated to the 15-year-old Afro-Norwegian boy Benjamin Benny Hermansen, who was stabbed to death by a group of neo-Nazis in Oslo, Norway in January 2001. The reason for this tribute was partly due to the fact that another Oslo youth, Omir Badi, Jackson's friend, was also a good friend of Hermansen. The dedication in the album reads, Michael Jackson gives special thanks. The album is dedicated to Benjamin Benny Hermansen. May we continue to remember not to judge a man by the color of his skin, but the content of his character. Benjamin, we love you. May you rest in peace. The album is also dedicated to Nicholas Scotto and Jackson's parents, Joseph and Catherine Jackson. But yeah, the promotion, it was reported that the album had a budget of $25 million set aside for promotion. So it cost $30 million damn near to record it, but there was also a budget of $25 million to promote it. Despite this, however, due to the conflicts between Jackson and his record label, little was done to promote the album. Unlike with Jackson's post-Thriller audio studio albums, there was no world tour to promote the album. A tour was planned but canceled due to conflicts between Jackson and Sony, and the September 11 attacks, the latter of which had also motivated many other artists to cancel their upcoming tours in late 2001 and early 2002. There was, however, a special 30th anniversary celebration at Madison Square Garden in early September 2001 to mark Jackson's 30th year as a solo artist. Jackson performed You Rock My World and marked his first appearance on stage alongside his brothers since the Jackson's Victory Tour. So that was a big deal. They haven't really toured in over 15 years, like just toured, never mind just having a whole segment of performances of songs in one night. So the show also featured performances by Britney Spears, Maya, Usher, Whitney Houston, Tamia, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, 98 Degrees, and Slash, among other artists. The show aired on CBS in November 2001 as a 2-hour television special and garnered 30 million views. So it was recorded in September, but it didn't premiere until November, and it did help the album. It did. The album's promotion was met with trouble due to internal conflicts with Sony Music Entertainment and Jackson due to his partnership. Yeah, due to his part of ownership. Part of ownership, with the company. And the contract to a deal with Sony that was originally signed back in 1991. The issue stems back during the production of Invincible when Jackson learned that the rights to the masters of his past releases, which were to revert to him in early 2000s, would not revert to him until much later in the decade. When Jackson consulted a lawyer who worked with him in making the deal back in 1991, he learned that the same lawyer was also working for Sony, revealing a conflict of interest of which Jackson was never aware. Not wanting to sign away his ownership in Sony Music Entertainment, Jackson elected to leave the company shortly after the album's release. After the announcement, Sony halted promotion on the album, canceling single releases, including a 9/11 charity single that was intended to be released before Invincible. In July 2002, following Sony's decision to abruptly end promotion for the album, Jackson alleged that the CEO was, of course, evil. He accused Sony and the record industry of racism, deliberately not promoting or actively working against promotion of his album. Sony disputed claims that they had failed to promote Invincible with sufficient energy, maintaining that Jackson refused to tour in the United States. Received mixed reviews from professional critics. First album since Off the Wall that offers virtually no new twists, but remarked the album feels like an anthology of his less than greatest hits. Okay. Yeah, see, Whatever Happens, that's a great song. See, I gotta get to the track list. I'm sorry. Yes, retrospective reviews, commercial performance. Invincible was Jackson's first studio album since History 6 years earlier. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 with first week sales of 363,000 copies. It was Jackson's 5th Billboard #1. And his 4th solo album to chart at #1 in its first week. However, it sold less than History in its opening week, which sold 391,000 copies. In its second week, the album slipped to #3, selling 202,000 copies with a 45% drop. Invincible also charted at #1 on R&B and hip hop charts, on that chart for 4 weeks. After 8 weeks of release in December 2001, Invincible was certified gold for the sales of 500,000 units. The same month, the album was certified platinum for the sale of 1 million units. January 25th, 2002, it was certified 2 times platinum for the sales of 2 million units. In the United States, it was the 45th best-selling album of 2001, selling over 1.56 million units. As of 2009, Invincible had sold 2.4 million copies in the U.S. Invincible left the Billboard 200 in June 2002 after charting there for only 28 weeks. Shortly after the release of the album, in a poll conducted by Billboard magazine, they said an overwhelming majority of people, 79% of 5,195 voters, were not surprised by Invincible entering the Billboard 200 at #1. Billboard also reported that 44% agreed with the statement, proclaiming that Jackson was still the king of pop. Another 35% said they were not surprised by the album's ranking, but doubled Invincible would hold on for a second week at the top of the chart. Only 12% of people who responded to the poll said they were surprised by the album's charting debut because of Jackson's career over the past 6 years, and another 9% were taken back by the album's success in light of the negativity that preceded the album's release. So most people were not surprised by him going #1 because it's Michael. But then breaking it down more, there was more people that were like, he's going to continue to be. And then there was more people that were like, well, I'm kind of shocked that he is. And it's like, still? Like, what's going on? And I said this in the previous videos, like, why are y'all doing this to him? Like, this is terrible. Invincible reached #1 in 13 countries worldwide, including the United Kingdom, Australia, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, Germany, Norway, Sweden, and Switzerland. It also charted within the top 10 in several countries, including Austria, Canada, Finland, Italy, New Zealand, and Norway. Following his death in June 2009, his music experienced a surge in popularity. Invincible charted at #12 on the Billboard Digital Albums chart in July 11, 2009. Having not charted on the chart prior to its peak position, the album was listed as the 9th biggest jump on that chart that week. It also charted within the top 10, peaking at #9 on Billboard's catalog albums chart on the issue date of July 18th. On the week of July 19th, 2009, Invincible charted at #18 in Italy. It peaked at #64 in European albums chart on July 25th. The album also charted at #29 in Mexico in July, and 84 in Swiss in July 19th, 2009. So it was carrying, but it just, the promotion and the things that were going on allegedly behind the scenes, it wasn't good. But we gonna look at the track list. So Unbreakable is what we start with Notorious B.I.G. So I hearing that, it's just great. I thought it was really nice just to kind of hear him just be back and just start the album off with a 6-minute song. Like, I remember having my copy, and if you're a true Michael Jackson fan, the cover is black and white. White and gray, however you see it. But there were special copies randomly that would be different colors. Mine just happened to be orange. I didn't even know there was like other colors out there, but it was like a limited edition type thing. I don't even see whether they talk about it here, but yes, I had the orange one. So yes, there's Heartbreaker, which comes on after track 2, Invincible, track 3, where he's working with this artist, Fats. It's a rap artist. But yeah, Break of Dawn, which is that's one of my favorites. Heaven Can Wait. That's a very, he sang down on that. You Rock My World being track 6, that's a great opening to just bring us more into the album, especially with the skit with Chris Tucker and just bringing the song in, just letting us know, like, I'm still here, I'm still the king, Butterflies, which comes on right after. Great song. It's something because Marsha Ambrosius was a part of this song, and you can hear it. Tyrese Gibson wrote on 2000 Watts, as opposed to Speechless being written by Michael himself, which is the track before it. Speechless is one of my favorite songs ever. It's a ballad, it's sad, but it's emotional, it's beautiful. It brings you peace after you get towards the end, because you're just like, it's just, clarity. Yes. I'm trying to see as far as You Are My Life, track 10. I believe he worked with Babyface on that. Yeah. And as far as the next track, Privacy, then there's Don't Walk Away, which is track 12. And then there's Cry, which is track 13. And then there's The Lost Children, which he wrote himself. Whatever Happens, which I had talked about earlier. That's also one of my favorite songs too. It just, I've always listened to that song when I would just be on the go, on the road, or just, you know, when I'm focused on things. Like, it's just such a great song to listen to. It has a really deep meaning behind it. Complications in a relationship, or just even just wanting someone to know you don't want them to go anywhere. Which leads to 16, which is Threatened, which I feel like that was just, as the title has says, you know, he wanted to break free from the rotation of, all right, I'm releasing albums, he wanted to do things in a way, sonically, it would be better for those after him and with him during this period. And at the time, labels were heavy. You know, you had to attach yourself with, you know, being independent at that time was just kind of like, you know, you're not going to really make too much because we're putting this here, we're doing this, and then. So it's just, you're independent now with streams. Oh yes, if people really love you and they sending you, you know, the feedback, which I appreciate you guys doing that for me, but when it comes from an independent side of things where you don't need like a background of people trying to help you do this, you doing it all yourself, oh yeah, it's much easier now. But back in the day, even for a man like Michael Jackson, you kind of wanted to hold on to the sense of a label until there was enough that you could say, I have enough residuals to kind of just do things my way, you know? But yeah, if you ask me, it's a great album. As far as chart placements, let's look at them right now. Number 1, R&B hip hop for US. Number 1 in the Billboard 200. Number 1 in UK, R&B, and just regular alike. Swedish and Swiss albums, number 1. Okay, Japan said number 5. They said, let us just get more into it. Malaysian albums, number 1. Norwegian, number 1. French, European, Dutch, Danish, Canadian. Belgium, Australian, and Belgian. Oh, I think I said Belgian already. Yes, number 1. German too. Irish said number 3. Italian said number 2. But you guys get what I'm saying. Like, he was doing well in the start of the release because people were ready to hear from him again. It was after the release where it was just, you're realizing a similar plummet with Dangerous, where it's kind of like, I have to do a little bit more, you know, like you're kind of, it is just, it was going there. But yes, sold 8 million worldwide. May have sold more by now. But yeah, guys, that's the end of our video. Like I always do, I want to just reassure you guys that I do appreciate everything as far as just viewing and being here with me, and I will be back with